Hi guys, my name's Angela. Welcome back to the channel. I just finished doing a review on that guy, and today's episode is how to make juice the old-fashioned way. Let me show you because it is so incredibly easy. It's really not fair as to how easy it is. And if you're gonna complain, don't, because I try to cheat the system and make it easier, and I just made more work for myself. So let me show you how easy it is to make whatever kind of juice you want in the world. Now you might be wondering what on earth I am doing with this honkin' huge 32-liter soup pot on my stove. This is how we're gonna make juice. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna find the biggest pot you can absolutely find. And I think I paid like 40 bucks for it. I think it was like 38 something, but say it's $40. And what I'm gonna do is I use basically my eyes. I use that as my water level. So I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna fill this up with water. And that's all you do for the first step. As I fill up the pot, you're going to see that there's already peaches inside. Put your fruit in as the second step. Now I'm using 25 peaches for this 32-liter pot. And my family, we always really thin out juices when you get them at the store, at least 50-50. So we don't like a stronger juice. If your family does, then you're going to add more fruit. Now you're probably wondering, Angela, I don't have a pot that's honkin' huge. What am I gonna do? Well, grab a soup pot. In this soup pot, if I was making my juice in here, I would only put about maybe 6 peaches. Now, if you have huge peaches, do 5. If you have really tiny peaches, do about 7. So anywhere between 5 to 7 peaches in this soup pot would be great. And you could still accomplish the same thing. Now, if you are doing a pot that's appropriately sized for the stove that you have, you're only gonna have this boil for about maybe 25 to 30 minutes, and then you're done. By 30 minutes, you're golden. My issue is I have a 30-inch stove, and my main burner, which is the biggest burner, is not the right size for this pot because it's too small. It struggles with giving me a rolling boil, and I even struggle with having like a really good boil going on when I'm water bath canning. And that's just my issue. So if you happen to have one of those issues, you need to go for longer to make sure that you're getting absolutely everything out of your fruit that you possibly can, because there's no point in wasting food, right? So I have to boil for about 40 to 45 minutes because my flame is just not the right size, and it actually needs to be bigger for this pot. At our old house, I had a 36-inch stove, and I bought the stove that had the massive burner in the middle, and this worked perfect. I never had an issue. 25, 30 minutes, I was golden and off to the races, and I've never looked back. With this stove that came with the house, it's only a 30-inch stove, so I very much struggle with this one particular burner, and it happens to be the biggest burner that came with this stove, so I just have to boil it for a lot longer. I find I'm only adding about 15 minutes to this, and it works out perfect. So all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait till this comes to a rolling boil. Once it comes to a rolling boil, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tilt it slightly, because if you have this sitting here like this, it's gonna jiggle. And because of all the sugar that's in the fruit, what I found was you're gonna have splatters coming off of the lip, and your kitchen's just gonna be a horrendous sticky mess. So let me do you the favor and save you from a messy kitchen. Just leave that healthy gap in between the water level and the top of your soup pot, and then you won't have a huge sticky mess, and your cleanup is gonna be so much nicer. If you're doing this on a smaller scale, you don't even have to go through this next step. I'm canning this because I want to have it for later on in the season. However, if you're doing a small batch, you can just turn off your burner at this point. Once you've got the rolling boil and the time is done, then you can give it an hour and a half to 2 hours, wait till it cools, and then strain it, put it in a pitcher, and enjoy it with your family. I'm straining this because I just don't want any bits, and my kids tend to be a little bit picky. They don't like any floaties in
in their juice, and that's totally fine. What I'm doing is I'm basically putting this into cans, and then I will be water bathing this. And I ended up with 18 jars of peach juice off of this one pot. So just to give you an idea as far as how much you're going to get versus steam juicing, I find this a lot faster. Your juice is not incredibly super concentrated this way, but it does help my family out a lot with regards to our price point. The juice from the fruit that we get goes way further, and so much it allows us to stretch our budget out as far as juice making so much more than steam juicing does. Yes, steam juicing is a lot more concentrated, but I find that the compote really does help out my bottom line, and that's what I also do look for. So in these jars, I haven't been able to find a recipe anywhere on peach juice or peach compote or canning it. I am completely doing this as an experiment, and yes, with 18 jars or 18 liters of a commitment, yes, this is a huge gamble, but I have put a tablespoon of lemon juice into each jar, and I feel that that's sufficient with what I've read as far as peach jellies and jams and the amount of citrus that they put into those. So I feel comfortable doing this. However, do your own research because I don't know if it's going to last until the winter. I don't see it failing because the acidity level is quite high. So I feel comfortable with having this for the winter.
It's about 10 o'clock at night and everyone, well, me and my husband are up, but the kids are asleep. And I am water bath canning the juice, and I got, I believe, 18 liters out of, yeah, I think I did get 18 liters out of my one pot. I've got all of those jars, so 3, 4, I'm gonna have to do 2 more cycles of it because I can only jam 7 jars into this guy, and they don't fit in here because they're too tall.